I the a-hole for wanting a child-free ceremony? I am a 31M and am set to marry my wonderful fiancé, 29F, in January of 2024. We are in the midst of sorting out the wedding guest list. To give you some context, I have 3 siblings. Luke, 38M, who is married to Lucy, 35F, with 2 kids. Mike, 35M, who is married to Stella, 29F, also with 2 kids. And Dan, 33M, who is married to Jenny, 31F, who are child-free. My fiancé has a brother, Ben, 23M, who isn't married but has 1 kid. And 1 sister, Lisa, 21F, who has a boyfriend, Tom, 23M, and they have 1 child. All of the kids are 7 and under. All of our family members are in the wedding party, with Luke serving as my best man. Alongside this, we have several friends who are married with children as well. All in all, there are 23 children amongst our family and friends, and they are all lovely kids, but they present a wide array of energy levels and behaviors. So, when planning, my fiancé and I decided that while it would be challenging to ask our guests to leave all of their kids at home, we'd instead like to have a child-free ceremony. We provide a childcare agency to watch the kids during the ceremony and part of the reception, introduction, first dance, speeches, etc. Then allow them to join after all of that is done. We were thinking of covering 3 hours of the wedding. Then the rest of the reception the kids could join us all and have fun. We presented the ideas to our families and friends, and while everyone has had a variety of reactions, Lucy is particularly upset with us. She called me saying it's not fair that her kids can't attend the whole wedding, and asked why we wouldn't want kids at the ceremony. I explained that the ceremony was the most important part to us, and that we didn't want any disruptions like crying or kids complaining they're bored or anything like that. She insisted that wouldn't happen because her kids are perfect angels. While I do agree her kids are well behaved most of the time, I said it's still 23 kids at a ceremony, and one is bound to cry or make noise, and we didn't want that interrupting our vows. Plus, I didn't want to single out anyone's kids by saying some were invited and some weren't, so we thought this was the best option. Apparently she got upset because she said, if her kids can't attend every part of the wedding, then she and her kids won't be attending at all. I didn't yell, but I was getting upset because Luke loves his wife, and that would put him in a terrible spot if his wife didn't attend. I asked her to understand that we're trying to figure this out, and she said I'm an a-hole for even considering anything child-free and excluding their kids from our ceremony over something stupid, and hung up on me. My fiancé and I are in 100% agreement with this, and everyone else in the bridal party isn't as hostile about it, so I'm asking AITA for wanting a child-free ceremony. Update. Firstly, thank you everyone. My fiancé and I read through all the comments and got some amazing insights and perspectives. It really helped us put our wedding into perspective and brought us even closer as a couple. We also took the time to read other stories about children attending weddings, and let me tell you, those stories were quite eye-opening. After considering all the advice and reflecting on our own feelings, we decided to have a heart-to-heart conversation with our family and friends to get their thoughts on the matter. Surprisingly, the only people who expressed any concern about the child-free ceremony were Luke and Lucy. Everyone else seemed genuinely excited about the idea of having a child-free night, and even Mike mentioned that it might be better to save the cost of wedding childcare, since most of our guests won't be bringing their kids. With this newfound information, we decided to have dinner at Luke and Lucy's house to discuss the matter further. As we arrived, their kids were playing in the living room, but Lucy quickly sent them upstairs. We engaged in some light conversation, and then I brought up the fact that their kids would be the only ones attending the wedding. I reassured them that we were still willing to cover the cost of a babysitter for just their 2 kids. Lucy immediately became defensive, insisting once again that her kids were perfect angels, and that inviting them wouldn't ruin our special day. However, just as she was making her point, we heard a commotion upstairs. Curious, I asked, "What are they doing up there?" Lucy rolled her eyes, but Luke called for the kids to come downstairs. And when they appeared, both of them were completely naked with red and black marks on their faces. It turns out they were playing a game of Survivor, and had gotten a bit carried away. At that moment, my fiancé and I struggled to contain our laughter, and even Luke had a hard time stifling his own chuckles. Lucy, clearly annoyed, instructed the kids to clean up and put on their pajamas. I couldn't help but joke, "Well, angels are usually naked in paintings," which caused both Luke and my fiancé to burst into laughter. Lucy, still visibly frustrated, walked off to the kitchen to grab a glass of wine. After a moment of silence, she finally said, Fine, we'll come. But you're covering a babysitter for the night instead of wedding childcare. If our kids can't come to the ceremony, then I'd rather they just stay home. But we'll come. Now some might argue that this is an unfair request, but personally I would rather spend $200 on a one-night babysitter than $1,000 on wedding childcare. But that's a matter for another day. For now, I'm just grateful that we were able to find a compromise that works for everyone. Once again, thank you all for your amazing advice and support. We couldn't be more excited to walk down the aisle and start this new chapter in our lives. And who knows, maybe we'll even have a few hilarious stories to share from the wedding.